You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken Tech for your ears.
Welcome back to Tech Tuesdays, where we take the material you send us and really try to get to what matters.
And this week's collection was just fantastic.
It really was. It felt less like a reading list and more like a high-speed tour of the next few years of the global economy. I mean, we're going from AI chips all the way to manufacturing in orbit.
It's a stunning synthesis of data. And what really jumps out is the theme, right? The connectivity between it all.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about deep learning or deep space, it's all about this unprecedented, aggressive acceleration of, well, foundational infrastructure.
That connection is so key. You know, on a show like Vocal Technologist, I'm always trying to cut through the jargon, but even I found the kind of underlying sense of alarm here pretty fascinating.
Alarm is a good word for it.
So I think our mission today is to unpack two big interconnected trends. First, this massive infrastructure build-out that's happening right now, hardware wars.
Right.
And second, the really surprising, almost counterintuitive effect all this is going to have on knowledge work. We're calling it the efficiency paradox.
And a good place to start is with that sense of alarm you mentioned. Why is the speed of AI deployment so worrying, even to the people building it?
Right.
It's because the sheer scale of the computational capacity they're creating is rolling out.
Well, it's faster than our collective ability to even figure out what to do with it.
Which takes us right into the trenches of the memory wars.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about GPUs, the process.
Processing heart, yeah.
But the material we looked at makes it so clear that high bandwidth memory, HBM, is the critical, less publicized front in this whole competition.
It's the fuel line. If the fuel line is too narrow, the engine just stalls.
Exactly.
And this is where the technical details become so important strategically. The material noted that NVIDIA is pushing really aggressively.
How so?
They're requesting 16 high HBM deliveries from all three major suppliers, that's Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron, by the fourth quarter of 2026. Okay, so that's not small batch scaling. That's a full industrial build-out.
It is.
Wait, can you break that down? 16 high. For someone who gets GPUs in broad strokes, why is that number so important?
So the high stands for height. It's the vertical stacking density. Think of it like a skyscraper of memory chips.
Okay.
Current HBM might be 8 high or 12 high. By pushing for 16 high, they're literally stacking 16 DRAM dies on top of each other. And because they're so physically close, the bandwidth goes way up and the delay goes way down.
Ah, so it solves what engineers call the memory wall.
It's the biggest physical bottleneck there is. It's all about how fast you can actually feed data into a hungry AI model.
So if they solve the memory wall with this level of industrial investment, what's the big strategic implication?
It's huge. It means the infrastructure build-out is so massive, so ubiquitous, that it could effectively render AI, the actual act of running the models, infinite and nearly free at the margin.
Okay, hold on. That phrase, infinite and nearly free, is conceptually massive.
It is.
But is calling it free a bit misleading? I mean, doesn't the massive upfront cost of buying all that 16 high HBM kind of negate the idea? Where's the risk?
And that is the precise tension. The initial capital expenditure, the CapEx, is astronomical. Billions and billions.
Right.
But once that highway is built and paid for, the incremental cost of one more car using it, it's basically zero.
A zero marginal cost.
Exactly. And the conceptual gap here is that this capability is rolling out faster than we can even imagine what to do with zero marginal cost intelligence.
That sets the stage perfectly for all the corporate maneuvering we're seeing. While the physical infrastructure is being built, the big players are basically weaponizing their IP and their talent to make sure they own that highway when it's done.
And a perfect example is the NVIDIA acquisition of Grok.
Right. This was less about a product and more about
What?
Strategic defense.
IP elimination. It was a classic strategic play.
The financials were pretty generous from what I saw. All of Grok's investors, employees, founders, everyone got paid out.
Oh, absolutely. 85% upfront. The rest by the end of 2026. They made sure everyone walked away happy.
But the prize for NVIDIA wasn't the tech itself.
Not really. The prize was defensive. The expectation is that NVIDIA will now weaponize the patents from Grok to create a scorched earth zone around SRAM-based inference tech.
So basically, if you can't compete without facing a crushing patent lawsuit, you're out of the market before you even start.
You're removed from the game.
It's corporate monopoly. buy the property, shut down the street so no one else can build. And in contrast to the investors, the actual Grok Cloud service is now just a shell of its former self.
Stripped of its value and IP. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, the talent race is just as cutthroat.
Companies are buying up human capacity just as aggressively as physical capacity.
Yep.
And you can't talk about strategic talent acquisition and AI without bringing up OpenAI.
The compensation figures are almost hard to believe. They're setting a whole new gold standard.
What were the numbers again?
The average stock-based comp for their roughly 4,000 employees is about $1.5 million per employee.
Wow. That inflates their operating losses for sure.
Massively.
Yeah.
But it secures their lead. This isn't about being nice. It's pure strategic defense against competitors poaching their top people.
And they're removing friction, too. They got rid of that policy where you had to work for 6 months before your equity vests.
Which is a huge shift. It removes those traditional golden handcuffs and makes it immediately appealing to jump ship and join them.
A bold move.
Especially when you see the institutional money behind them. SoftBank just completed its $40 billion investment in OpenAI.
Giving them an 11% stake.
Right. The market is betting immense capital that this dominance in talent and infrastructure is going to pay off.
Which brings us perfectly to the central delicious irony of this whole thing, the efficiency paradox. If we're spending all this money to make work faster, cheaper, more efficient, do we end up doing less work?
And historically, the answer is always no. This is the Jevons Paradox, but applied directly to knowledge work.
Can you define that for us?
Sure. Jevons Paradox basically states that when a resource becomes more efficiently used, demand for that resource actually goes up, not down.
So for knowledge work, efficiency improvements don't reduce demand. They reveal this massive latent demand that was just too expensive to deal with before.
Exactly. That is the core realization. AI making knowledge work cheaper won't lead to massive leisure time, not at first anyway. It's going to lead to a massive increase in output.
Potentially several orders of magnitude.
Absolutely. Think about all the tasks that are cost prohibitive right now. Hyper-personalized education for every single student. Automated legal discovery for every case.
Regulatory compliance analysis for every small business contract. Things that are just too complex for human scale today.
Precisely. And that point about humanity having been massively underinvesting in knowledge work is key.
Right. We weren't underinvesting because we didn't want the output. We were underinvesting because it was just too expensive to execute.
So the vast majority of future AI tokens won't be used on things we do today, just faster. They'll be used on brand new tasks that we don't even do today.
And we're already seeing this play out in software engineering, right? The materials pointed to a clear shift by 2026.
Yeah, where AI tooling has just crashed the marginal cost of producing code.
So the bottleneck shifts, it's not about typing the code anymore.
No. Engineering time moves away from the act of coding itself to these other higher-level areas. Planning, systems architecture, design.
The field becomes more mechanized, but vastly more productive.
That's right. These coding agents are forcing a conceptual leap. The thought process you learn from using something like Claude Code 2.0, it directly transfers to other production tools.
So the key skill in 2026 won't be knowing syntax.
It'll be declarative systems design, being able to describe the what, not just the how.
Okay, so this whole discussion has been centered on the digital acceleration bits, tokens, code. But the material you shared makes a strong case that the physical world is moving just as fast. Let's talk about the build-out in space.
We have to. The vision for Max Space's Thunderbird station is genuinely disruptive. And what's remarkable is the focus on logistics.
It's designed for a single launch, right?
A single launch on a medium-lift rocket like a Falcon 9. That just drastically cuts the complexity and cost compared to building piece by piece.
And it's not just a tin can. It's a habitat for 4 astronauts with an expandable interior.
Right. It inflates once it's in orbit. And it's designed specifically for research and orbital manufacturing.
Making complex pharmaceuticals, unique materials, and they're aiming for a launch by 2029.
As early as 2029. That ability to launch large, expandable structures in one shot just changes the entire economic feasibility of working in low Earth orbit.
Meanwhile, back here on Earth, physical resources are still a huge pressure point.
Absolutely. We see it with the geopolitics of rare earth metals, which are critical for everything we've just discussed. Chips, satellites, you name it.
And the material highlights this huge challenge for a U.S. startup trying to break China's monopoly on them.
It's a tight monopoly. And metal prices have been rising because China restricted exports in response to U.S. tariffs. This isn't just economics, it's industrial warfare.
It raises that classic economic question. How do you even begin to compete against a global player that is known to sell these metals for less than they cost to produce?
You can't. Not on a purely commercial basis. That competitive barrier is almost impossible to breach.
So the future of any domestic industry really relies on.
U.S. government subsidy. Heavily. Without that state support, commercial competition is just not possible.
Okay, to bring us back from space and geopolitics to human health, we had a quick but really crucial insight on Alzheimer's research.
We did. The material really stressed that Alzheimer's is caused by multiple factors. It's not a single switch you can flip.
And the crucial distinction for research is that preventing the disease and reversing it are two completely separate problems.
Entirely separate. You can't just try to modify risk factors like diet or exercise after the disease has already started and expect that to be a cure.
It's unlikely to work.
Right. Researchers have to focus on targeting the underlying dynamics of the disease itself. That distinction is so important for guiding where the billions in research funding actually go.
It is. So, what a journey. We started with the scarcity of memory chips and the cost of inference. And we're ending with this picture of a new reality, a world where infinite capacity, thanks to those 16 high HBM chips,
Is meeting infinite demand thanks to the efficiency paradox. It's a complete flip of the old economic model.
and this massive acceleration means every job, not just in software, is about to face this existential test.
A test of what work truly needed to be done versus what was just too expensive or impractical before AI.
It fundamentally redefines productivity. And the material noted something really profound, that progress isn't this constant smooth line.
No, history shows these long periods of stasis followed by jagged, rapid growth spurts.
So, given everything we've talked about today, the memory wars, the talent wars, this paradox, the final question for you, the listener, is this. How prepared are we, conceptually, for one of those jagged bursts of progress?
A burst that allows us to do vastly more work than we can currently even imagine. The ultimate challenge might not be designing the chips or writing the code.
But making the conscious, deliberate decision about what new work we should even start.
What value-additive work should we initiate in this new, infinitely capable future?
That is the ultimate strategic challenge. We look forward to digging into your next stack of material with you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.